think they realize there won't be a visible sun disk this morning. There's nice color up there high. Very thick cloud on the horizon all this past week. Today it's a little more intense, a little higher. The readings today strike me very much in terms of the life that's in the church. But sometimes can, in different epochs, seem sleepy. There's tremendous life in the church. The church might be going through trials and difficulties in different regions of the world today, but there's extraordinary life in the church. Normally, the attention goes to the gospel and the first reading because they're always very connected. But I'm struck by the second reading today. And if you will, it's towards the end of the New Testament in terms of chronology and development and writing. But I'd like to go down there into the text a little bit and just to see some of the words that are used. The first one is very interesting as well, but it also implies a lot of strength. Always be ready to give an explanation to anyone who asks you for a reason for your hope. To be asked for an explanation for the reason, that means people realize we have hope. What's your hope? What's the strength of your hope? And this means it stands out, because for most people they would be discouraged. And yet you are filled with hope. Isn't that a characteristic of parents with a child that's gone down a very bad path? Their hope for that child is undying. And what's driving that hope? Well, they know the child like nobody else on the planet knows the child. They know the child before it was born. Moms can tell you the difference between one child and another in the womb. It's amazing, really. Their energy, their restlessness, their tranquility. so many things they can pick up. The parents know the child, and they know the goodness that was in the child. And now this poor drug addict that seems to have given up completely on life, the parents have not. The parents are doing everything and anything they can to bring that child back to life, to fan the flame to life. And they have hope. And so we have hope in our world today, we who believe, because God is at work in the world, and the corruption is not total. Landscapes that get burned, forests get burned down, nature comes back. And that's just nature. But then with the power of grace and with a little bit of husbandry, so to say, like you would in a garden, parents working can bring that person back. How many people? We have a guest right now, and he told me that he was addicted for 17 years to cocaine. His life was a wreck. And one of the persons he credits most was a girl, and I still have to learn the whole story in detail. I didn't have time to get to it. And through this person, now they're 16 years married, he has become an amazing leader, helping people to recover. To be able to give a reason for your hope. And you'd say, in a certain sense, maybe hope is more based in the heart than in reason. But actually, our hope is also based in the sacred scriptures. And after 2,000 years of life of the church, with its shadowing coming for almost an earlier 2,000 years, we are filled with hope. We are filled with hope because we know God's love for us, to be able to give reason for the hope. So the next point there is to be able to give reason. One thing is to have hope, and another thing is to be able to give reason for our hope. To be able to give reason for our hope. And that word able as well, there's able and able. One thing is to spout out something, and another thing is to recognize people where they're at and to be able to communicate it in a way that their hearts open more and more for this hope. And there's some further words said about that in the text. Do it with gentleness and reverence. Reverence for the person that's listening, who may not share all the thoughts and understanding that you are convinced about. And to do it with reverence. Reverence for a person means, reverence for a child means they mightn't be able to write the letter the first time they're learning to write their letters. So reverence for the child means you're patient, because maybe a child also has a sight problem. And they discover then that they need to have some attention to their eyes. Reverence for the person, because the person is more than everything. The person is more than each thing we teach them. The person is made in the dignity, in the image and likeness of God, and has a dignity that we reverence. And actually, reverencing the dignity of the person is one of the greatest ways to show hope. to show love, to show faith. Do it with gentleness and reverence, gentleness, tenderness. Keeping your conscience clear, because our engagement with another person, especially if we live that reverence and gentleness, then we're not going to abuse their thought, we're not going to force them, we're not going to con them, not going to cheat on them, not going to trick them. And keeping our conscience clear so that when people condemn us, sometimes that happens. Christians are condemned, and there's great strength in bearing negativity and suffering for doing good. We kind of expect to get our comeuppance when we are not doing good, when we're not fulfilling our task, when we're doing bad things. There's great strength in that, isn't it? For it is better to suffer for doing good, if that be the will of God, than for doing evil. So that means if people are rough on us and tough on us, we can hold our peace. We can tolerate it, bear with it. You see that white stone? There's two little fish sitting on top of it there. And that white stone was a great help because the fish were very visible. But now they just disappeared on me. I don't know where they hid. They must have realized I was here. They were about 8 or 10 inches long, if I have estimated that correctly. But they must have shot off somewhere when I was just looking at the screen to fix the screen. They were gone on me. It is better to suffer for doing good than for doing evil. Of course, because then the good we do and that suffering is of greater value, greater worth, greater reward. It builds us to people of greater virtue. And then it gives an extra motivation about how Jesus died and suffered evil for doing good. And in the line of this reading, we have, in the first reading, we have Philip going off to Samaria. And he is very blessed. His work is very blessed. And many come to accept the faith. And so the church in Jerusalem sends Peter and John. That's a nice concept because you see that Peter and John are at the service of the church, servant leadership. And they send them to the church in Samaria to verify this, to strengthen this, to encourage this. And they laid hands on them and the people received the Holy Spirit. And that's the core and source of the strength we have. The Holy Spirit working in us. And the Holy Spirit is gentle like the light on the lake here. It doesn't replace the water. It doesn't do violence to the water. It embellishes it. It enriches it. The Holy Spirit doesn't replace our lives, doesn't take over our will. It doesn't subject us. The Holy Spirit enhances us, enlivens us, blesses us, inspires us, strengthens us, allows us to become fully us. The Spirit of truth. And then in that regard, I invite you to read the Gospel text, which is very beautiful, developing these thoughts more. And here I just noticed the sun coming through the top of the cloud there. So we get to see a little bit of the sun disk before we close. Amazing, all that dark cloud and the value of a little bit of light coming through a little hole in the cloud. That reminds me of those parents looking for that little ray of light in a child gone down a bad road, that there'll be a turnaround. They're always looking for a little ray of light coming, a little breakthrough. And that's what we're looking at in the world today, in all the conflicts, in all the difficulties. See you later, alligator. I think we're going to go out this side today so that we can say goodbye. And you can still see any little bit of the sun is coming here. God bless you all. Have a blessed Sunday, a blessed week. See you later, alligators. Oops. Just trying to... playing with this here.